Right. Hello, everyone. My name is Bree Kimberling. I am a community health and wellness nurse coordinator here at North Kansas City Hospital, and we have an awesome presentation today. My dear friend Janna Thomason is here. She is the Enneagram nurse. She has been doing this for many years to help so many people. So I'm so excited to have her share her craft. Just a little bit about Janna. She is an empathetic nurse and life coach. She believes in combining self-awareness, intentional focus, and that is the key to unlocking our fullest potential. This intentional focus is about channeling our energy and attention deliberately toward what truly matters to us. She supports and guides clients who want to reinvent and rediscover themselves so they can live on an aligned, joyful, personal, and professional life. Working together, you can break free from self-limiting beliefs, old patterns, fostering profound growth and transformation. She's helped me several times, and I know some other people that are on this call today, this video today. So we do have the chat and the Q&A open, so please jump in there, throw in a question. I'm going to field those to Janna as she speaks, so I'll just throw them at her when that topic comes up, and I hope you guys enjoy this. I'm looking forward to it. Take it away, Janna Thomason.
Awesome. Thank you, Bree. So excited to be here today, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and start to share my screen here. Just want to make sure that Bree, can I get confirmation that you can see my screen here? Okay, awesome. Well, welcome everybody. We are going to be covering the Enneagram 101 today, and I'm super excited to bring you this information. Hopefully you are grabbing some lunch and kicking back. Hope to just really give you some good tips, good facts, just help you with some self-awareness today. And I would invite you to join the second session, which is Thursday, May 9th, where we're going to dive deeper into each different Enneagram type. Today is really just kind of an overview of the tool of the Enneagram and what it can do in your life. And then finally, invite you to join us Thursday, June 13th to really hit the application. So great knowledge. We've learned a lot. Now, how do I apply it to my life? How can I take this knowledge that I've learned and use it in my life? So definitely want to invite you to that. All right. Again, this is Enneagram 101, the path to self-awareness. And thank you, Bree, for that great introduction. But like Bree said, my name is Janna Thomason, and I actually worked at North Kansas City almost 20 years. So I have a love for North Kansas City. I'm a mom and a wife, and just like some facts about me, I've been a nurse now for 25 years, which is crazy. Served in areas of critical care, trauma and burn, nursing informatics, PACU, and nursing professional development. So been a part of a lot of different areas of nursing. But my real passion is using self-awareness, helping women and men and businesses and organizations really try to understand, who they are and that motivation behind why we do the things that we do. So just a couple little facts about me. I recently moved to the country, so now I'm a country girl and a wannabe gardener. So I'm learning and experimenting and excited to do that. So we'll just go ahead and get it kicked off here. And I'm going to start with this slide. And so first thing, people see different meanings with the same information. So, like, what does that mean? This is just kind of a reminder. So you we're going to start off with a little bit of fun. So maybe you've seen this before. So I'd like for you to just take a look at this picture. And in the chat, I'd love for you to tell me what it is that you see. And let me get the chat pulled up here so I can see. Great. Okay. Bree sees a face or a side profile. What's everybody else see? Yep. So the nose and the eyes. Does anybody see anything else different? Love for you to put that in the chat. Maybe you see an Eskimo, like the backside of an Eskimo.
They're saying the chat is disabled, so let me work on that, guys. Yeah, put
Okay.
it in the Q&A. That's fine. The Q&A is working.
Oh, okay.
There.
Okay.
Can you see
Awesome.
that, Janna?
Yes, yes. Okay. Yeah, so if you want to put that in the Q&A, go ahead. Paige sees a profile of a face, man facing left. Okay, yeah. So again, this is a really good example of we might see something one way and somebody sees it another way. So I have a couple more that we're gonna do. Okay, what about this one? You guys maybe have seen this. I remember seeing this a long time ago. But what do you see in this picture? Go ahead and put it in the Q&A. Okay, woman. Somebody sees a fancy woman's profile, like looking away. You maybe see the necklace wrapped around her neck, and she has like maybe a fluffy like scarf or coat on. Roberta says a burlesque woman with feather. Yep, yep. And then we also see the woman looking down. You can see kind of her nose and her eyelashes, and maybe she has something over her head. Does everybody see that? Yeah. Okay, let's do another one here. So how about this one? So back in 2015, this picture came out and almost broke the internet. And what color is the dress? What colors do you see? Okay, we see white and gold, blue and black, right? Do you guys remember this? Yeah. So me personally, I see white and gold. I think that this is another good reminder of that we do see things a little bit differently. Oops. Sorry. Okay, a couple more. What do you see in this picture? A bunny. Okay. Jamie sees a duck. Bree sees a goose, bird, duck, duck head. Yeah, rabbit, bunny. Yeah. Oops, I keep going backwards. Sorry about that. Okay, here's my last example here. So this is the shoe debate. So is the shoe gray or pink? So go ahead and type your response. Yep. Gray and teal. Yeah. Yeah. Some folks thought that this looked pink and white or pink. So the point of all of these photos is just to really just a reminder that we all see and view the world differently. And it's sometimes a shocker, but it's really sometimes hard to wrap your head around that people view the world differently than I do. So sometimes it's good to be reminded. I remember when my daughter was younger and I would try to get her to do the things that I like to do or the sports that I liked, she would just like be like, Mom, I'm not like you. So maybe you've heard this from your family or your kids. So all relationships, those that matter, truly matter, and even those that don't require some sort of translation. So the Enneagram can really help us with that. And just a reminder that the Enneagram shows us that there are 9 different ways of experiencing the world. So in order to influence other people around them, we do have to recognize that or even try to look through the world through their eyes. And so in order to see the world through their eyes, we need to be aware of our own lens. And we all have a lens, and our lens will always be there. But if we are aware of the way in which we see the world, we can start to take control and make some changes in our reactions and our view. So you guys, I love people. I really do love people. And have you ever been at an event or an airport or a concert and people watched? It's one of my very favorite things to do. I love to just like make up a story in my mind of what what they're doing. But I also have found myself saying, I'd never do that. I would never talk to somebody like that. I could never, jump in line. I would never say that. Sure wouldn't wear that. But since learning the tool of the Enneagram, I am reminded that there are 9 different ways of seeing, of thinking, of feeling, and of behaving. So we all behave very differently, but we do have a couple of things in common. We all want to belong, and we all want our lives to have meaning, right? But finding belonging and meaning are really dependent on our ability to maintain and build relationships with people that many times are like us, and oftentimes with those that are not like us. So here's just a friendly reminder that relationships are not a tidy and clean subject. Human interaction can be unpredictable and messy. Sometimes we get it right, and many times we get it wrong. And the tool of the Enneagram can really help you with your relationships. But it is just a tool. But I do think that it's the best tool that I've ever encompassed in helping me start to become a better version. So Ennea what, right? It's a funny word to say. So this is the symbol of the Enneagram. It is a 9-pointed figure that's dynamic and interconnected. Each type is represented by a number and a different way that somebody views the world. Each number is determined by a motivation, not necessarily a behavior. And motivations include like a basic passion or sin and a basic desire. So you may or may not know your number, but regardless, I think this time today will help you with yourself and how you relate and how you deal with others. And I think we all could use some help there. So as we discover that true power of the Enneagram and its wisdom, this broke open a whole new side of me that I didn't know that was ever there. So our journey today will kind of work in a way that we're going to kind of do a broad overview, and we're going to go into the centers of intelligence as well as stances. And then with our other session, we'll dive deep into each number. But today, I'd like for you to just kind of think about, as we go through, what sounds kind of familiar to you. So I'd like to encourage you to be really honest with yourself. Some of this is a little hard to swallow. For example, as a type 2, some of the adaptive or not healthy behaviors is that you're manipulative, and that really stings, but it can be true. So don't rush. I want you to show up as you are. Pay attention to yourself. If I say something that triggers you, or makes you think, go ahead and just jot that down. I do also want to encourage you to observe yourself non-judgmentally, but instead with curiosity. And as we go through these, you can learn about the other types because it might sound like somebody that you know, and just want to encourage you to be curious and open-minded. And today it's just to kind of develop a hypothesis of your Enneagram number, as well as your center of intelligence and your stance. So I'm just going to go over a really brief overview of each type. We're going to start up with type 1. They're called the reformer or the perfectionist, and they bring goodness to the world. Type 1s seek perfection in the world and constantly strive to improve themselves, probably you, and everything around them. The type 2 are the helper. They bring love. 2s want to be liked and focus their attention on meeting the needs of others. They tend to look for cues from others to interpret the degree to which they're appreciated. Then we're down to type 3, the achiever. They bring effectiveness to the world. Type 3s organize their lives towards achievement and success. They thrive on recognition, accomplishments, and competition. Moving down to type 4, the romantic or the individualist, they bring creativity to the world. Type 4's desire is to feel special and to have a unique life. Their emotions, especially painful ones, play out very powerfully in their lives. I have a type 4 daughter, and she has a lot of emotions. Type 5's the These are called the investigator. They bring wisdom to the world, and their deepest desire is to know that they are capable. They will gather information, and they gather that information in order to master different subjects. Type 6 is the loyalist, or they are dutiful and they bring loyalty to the world. They are very insightful and team players, but can be hyper vigilant about their environment and whether they can trust themselves or trust other people. They tend to question almost everything and consider multiple options for systems and safety. Type 7, the enthusiasts, they bring joy to the world. They love new possibilities and they want to experience them all. As they anticipate what will come next, they often can miss out on the present and bury the emotions that they're feeling. Moving on to the type 8, the challengers or the boss, they bring power to the world. They pursue both justice and truth and like to keep situations under control. They want to make big, important things happen and are not afraid of big decisions and will fight for the underdog. And then finally, rounding out is the type 9, and they bring peace and harmony and positive mutual regard. They are stable and optimistic and very supportive. They dislike conflict and tension, and they really just want everything to go smoothly and can tend to simplify problems. So that was just a kind of a quick little synopsis of each type of the Enneagram. And I do just kind of want to put a warning out here. So the Enneagram is not to be used as a crutch or an excuse for behavior. So the whole goal here is to teach people that finding out your Enneagram number really is just kind of the beginning of this journey, not the final destination. So it really should just be used to build people up and advance on their journey towards wholeness and self-awareness. Some of these might sound just like a family member or a friend. And so just kind of take note of that. And also sometimes you might think that as we're talking, we talk about some of the negative aspects. But what we found is that it can help you decide your number because it's people mostly identify with what's not working in their life than what is working right. So I always like to say we don't know ourselves by what we do right. We know ourselves by what we get wrong. So just also want to encourage you to have a sense of humor and to be compassionate, especially to yourself and others. So if you're anything like me, you've probably taken a million of these. Anytime there's like a quiz or something like that, I'm like, let's do it. So personality assessments like Myers-Briggs, the DISC, Strength Finders, love languages, animals, all of those are great and can add value. But I really needed a tool to help me really look at who I was on the inside and why did I do the things that I did, not just on the outside, not just how I performed. So this tool was brought to the United States back in the 70s and is way earlier than that, but was brought to the United States in the 70s. And it really goes beyond strengths and weaknesses. It allows you to kind of observe and understand your internal operating system, just like your iPhone has a iOS. We internally have kind of an internal operating system, and the more we understand that, the path to growth. So the Enneagram goes deeper and is very internally focused and provides an understanding of yourself as well as those around you. So I also think that it's a great tool that helps with empathy and compassion for you and for others. And I think that we all could use that. All right, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the two selves that we all have. We all have this beautiful, authentic side of us. And, people say, that's what I love about Bree. I love that, that's my favorite quality about her. So we have these two selves, and some of these behaviors are amazing and come from this beautiful, authentic place inside of us and tend to be our greatest strength. But other behaviors have been what we call adapted over time, such from things like fear and shame and anger. And the adapting and adjusting and accommodating really develops out of our need to survive and to have our basic needs met. So as we go through these next sessions, we're going to talk a lot about the authentic parts as well as the adaptive. So first thing I just kind of we're going to go into the different centers of intelligence that are kind of embedded into the Enneagram. And this can kind of be a clue to you. So as we talk about these different centers of intelligence, just jot down which one sounds most like you. I love the centers of intelligence. I think it's really helped me in my life. Current research suggests that human beings are created with this head, with this heart, and this body or gut intelligence. In fact, your gut and heart have this vast neural network, just like your brain, and they can tend to know things before your brain does. So the Enneagram offers us access to these three centers of intelligence, that body or gut, which is types 8, 9, and 1, and the heart, which is types 2, 3, and 4, and the head intelligence, which is 5, 6, and 7. And we naturally live out of one center, although we have access to all three. So I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about what that is and then go through each center of intelligence. And I'd love for you to kind of just jot down what center of intelligence resonates with you. So we have the Enneagram reveals that each Enneagram number has a preferred way of relating to the world. So again, numbers 5, 6, and 7, they trust their head intelligence. Numbers 2, 3, and 4 trust their heart intuitions. 8, 9, and 1 trust that gut or that body instinct. Yet we have nature and nurture and trauma can actually shut down one or more of these intelligences. So we continually kind of default to one. So your center of intelligence is determined first by your response when you encounter new information or situations. Do you immediately go to your thinking, feeling, or doing? And that when you take in information from the environment, do you respond with, what do I feel? What do I think? What will I do? It's an intuitive automatic move, and it identifies what is known as your dominant center. You don't need to try to change this response, but it is important to understand how it affects you and what you do next. The other two centers of intelligence are present, but one typically is supporting and one is repressed or unused. And so what happens is that we end up using only like 1/3, and that only helps us with what's happening. And so that's how we lose balance. So we're off kilter. We're not living in a holistic, wholehearted manner. So it's important because our responses are how we make sense of things. And then how we make sense of things kind of determines our worldview. And then your worldview determines the choices you make, and the choices that you make have the power to contribute peace and goodness. And we need that in the world today. So as we go through these centers of intelligence, remember, not all the characteristics will sound like you, but some will. Okay, we are going to start with the heart. So these types are 2, 3, and 4. And heart people trust heart connection more than anything else. They rely on feelings and relationships to guide them. If a connection breaks, they feel distressed and they may do things to regain affection and approval. They may dismiss gut reactions as being too judgmental and find head people unfeeling. The core motivation for these types is approval and affection. The negative fixation is shame and sorrow. And they're driven by feelings, by image, and by image consciousness. The narrative that you might hear these folks say, or maybe if you've heard this in yourself, and I am a heart person, so is I'm not enough. You know, that shame of I'm not enough. I must prove that I have worth. So some of the characteristics of the heart intelligence is they can sense the energy of other people and in the environment. They make you feel good. They look for love outside of themselves. Many times they're going to introduce themselves as, hi, I'm Jay's wife, or hi, I'm Aubrey and Nick's mom. They can be anxious and can be manipulative. Like life is typically focused outward. They like people and they adapt. They're concerned with image and prestige, even though it may be unconscious. They can give away their power in relationships to what other people want from them. Often they'll shove down anger and cover it up with activity and kindness, even though they're not feeling that. They may appear self-confident and confident and happy when they really aren't. They have a hard time asking for and accepting help. And one of the goals in life for the heart triad is to understand other people. And they can tend to ignore objective facts and just stick with their feelings. When they give and they give and they give and it's not working, they can pull away fast. They can perceive deeper realities and tend to be synthesizers and connectors. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about each type here. So type 2s tend to be very caring to others to obtain good regard so that they don't feel shame. They create an image of being likable and being needed, but they have difficulty knowing their own feelings and needs. Type 3s are actually the most out of touch with their feelings. They need positive feedback and affirmation from others. They find value and self-worth through accomplishment and performance to resist feeling shame. They tend to project an image of success and seek admiration of others and are very goal-focused. Type 4s tend to look for reasons why they are unique and different compared to others. They create and sustain moods and use their emotions as a way to defend against rejection. They tend to dramatize their losses and hurts so that they can avoid deeper feelings of shame and draw attention and pity from others. So wanted to just talk a little bit about, that's some characteristics of the heart center of intelligence. All right, I'm going to move now to the head center of intelligence. And we all have a head center of intelligence. This is types 5, 6, and 7. And these folks protect themselves from the vulnerability of heart feelings by moving into their heads. They engage the world through mental activity, through knowledge, through planning. They trust reason and brain power and can dismiss heart people as lightweights and gut people as reactionary. Some of the characteristics of the thinking or the head intelligence, they might ask, where am I? It's all about thinking and planning carefully before taking action. Maybe you know someone that, they have to do all of this research before they can take any action. The core motivation is security and survival. The negative fixation for these types is fear and anxiety. And the narrative that you might hear is, I won't have enough, or I need to get what I need or what I want. So just some more characteristics of head people. They connect and they live by a plan and they use strategy. They love learning and want to understand everything. And that negative focus for these types is fear. They could externalize it or internalize it or forget it. They want safety. And the way that they get it is from their inner world. They hang out in their head and truly believe that things can get worked out in their head, so they don't need to share it with anybody else. They maybe miss moments and think, I wish I could, or I should have spoken up, or I should have done that. When they're trying to figure out something in their heads, others have already moved on. They think life is a problem that needs to be solved. They think everybody sees the world the same way that they do. They often will study people rather than have an encounter with them. They can be suspicious. They control power. Their power is in their brain. They want a sense of order and may not have as many needs. They tend to act methodically. They sometimes will hide feelings, especially those tender ones. Their mentally centered goal is to get the best objective view, which is different from the heart. They are very factually oriented, but can tend to become lured by information and have difficulty acting. Okay, so I'm going to talk just a little bit about each type in the head center. Type 5s, the investigator, they react to fear by retreating into their mind and reducing their personal needs. Type 6 react to fear by foreseeing those worst case scenarios. They're usually ready for everything that can go wrong. These are the folks that have a plan. They have everything that they need. Type 7s react to fear by turning uncomfortable situations into something exciting and new to avoid feeling fearful. They fear being trapped in emotional pain and grief and anxiety, and escape into activity and anticipation to keep their minds occupied. So those are the characteristics of a head intelligence. So as we're talking about this, think about which one resonates with you. Now we're going to move on to the body or the gut center of intelligence. So these folks react instinctively. They know in their gut whether or not they like someone or if something is good or bad. Trusting their gut is more than anything is, or anyone else, it really makes it easy for them to jump in or to pull away without a second thought. In the heat of the moment, gut people can judge head people as for their slow deliberations, and heart people as too concerned about what people think. So I always think that kind of gives you a good idea of which one you fall into. So gut people can judge head people for their slow deliberations, and heart people as being too concerned about what people think. They respond at the gut level with honesty, and they're very direct. The core motivation is power and control. The negative fixation on these types is anger and guilt. And the narrative is I've had enough, or I haven't done enough, or I'm done. So what does the gut tell us? Remember, this is that intuitive anger and acting or doing triad. So the folks in this center of intelligence, they really do feel the world in their gut. They might say, don't trust that lady wearing the blue hat. They just know. They can read a room, and they read the world first through their gut. They can read conflict. They can read joy, any hidden agendas. They just have this instinct of knowing. And then just want to talk a little bit about anger is that underlying motion for this center of intelligence. They're a bit unique because they convert lots of different emotions to anger. Anger may not be pleasant, but it's familiar to these folks. So just some characteristics. They hold their ground rather than adapt. It's important for them to feel strong and decisive. They tend to hide emotions, especially anger and fear. And the person that they try to control is you. They're concerned about justice. And this is hard because there's injustice everywhere. Power and abusers of power are really interesting to them. Outwardly, they appear strong and confident, but inwardly, they can struggle like everyone else with self-doubt. They follow instincts. They might say, I got a feeling or I've got a hunch. And these types do not want to be dismissed or ignored. They're very firm in their convictions, and they worry about how you should act and how you should be. They can ignore relationships and objectivity. Also, they measure and compare themselves to others frequently. And because of their way of knowing is deep in their gut, they can be inflexible. And once they make up their mind, they stick with it. And in any situation, it matters a lot who is right and who is wrong. Reputation is very important to this center of intelligence. And when you don't meet expectations, they can get silent and insecure. They tend to have dualistic thinking, which is that black and white. It's either up or down. So each type, I'm going to go through types 8, 9, and 1. Type 8s tend to act out their anger. They express their anger very easily and rapidly. They can put their guard up so that no one can get through their defenses and hurt them. And their anger commonly arises from situations where they or someone else experiences injustice. Type 9s are the most out of touch with their anger. They tend to disconnect from their anger and build harmony and comfort both internally and externally. Their anger can be referred to the anger that went to sleep. Type 1s tend to repress and internalize their anger. They don't like to express their anger externally because, and can be very self-critical. They have a really sharp self-critical inner critic, and they work very hard to hold back their unconscious and conscious impulses. So, just curious if any of these sound like you, and I'd love for you to put it into the Q&A, which center of intelligence resonated with you, or the chat. Kristen says gut, yeah. Okay, she's a 1, yeah. Anybody else? Definitely heart. Thank you for responding, yeah. Gut for sure, yes. We got somebody else in heart here, head, yeah. Head. And what you'll find is when you start to kind of open up your mind that there's these different intelligences. For me, as a heart person, I also used my gut, and I tend to think that I used it a lot when I was a bedside nurse. Like I would just have a gut feeling of something's not right with my patient. Like I just have this hunch that, and sure enough, like that all was true. So I really repressed my head intelligence. And so what I've been able to do for me is to say, when I'm triggered by something, or when I'm having some conflict, I now will like step back and say, okay, let me go to my head here. Like, let me step into my head center of intelligence. And what are the facts? Is that email that person sent me, were they being, here I took it as like my feelings are hurt. That was kind of rude. What are the facts? It wasn't any of that. And so it's really allowed me to kind of step into these different centers of intelligence to either go to my head. What are the facts here? What's the objectives? Maybe even to my body, like, what is my body sensing? Is it making my shoulders like cringe up, or am I feeling excited and open? So by understanding these different centers of intelligence, we can almost like step into a different center that maybe isn't our dominant, and start to kind of look at a whole self-centered reaction or, thought process. So thank you. Thank you for everybody that has put that in the chat. So it really, these centers of intelligence offers a growth path, or the ability to kind of step back and say, okay, let's go to all 3 different centers here. So I just want to kind of conclude this center of intelligence. So type 2s externalize their shame, and they create an image of a good person. Type 3s feel conflicted with their shame, and they create an image of success. Type 4s internalize their shame and create an image of unique identity. Moving to the head, the type 5s internalize their fear by retreating into their mind. Type 6 feel conflicted with their fear, and they do that by avoiding internal fears and external threats. Type 7s externalize their fear by escaping into activities to keep their minds occupied. And type 8s externalize and act out of their anger. Type 9s feel conflicted and disconnect with their anger. And type 1s internalize and repress their anger. So each center of intelligence has this negative fixation: shame, fear, and anger. And I think this is just so interesting to kind of step back and to look at ourselves and see where that has shown up in our life. And we maybe saw that, with some sort of trauma or event, or, looking back on your childhood. So this is just an opportunity to be able to kind of step in or notice which center of intelligence is your dominant, and then the opportunity to kind of step into those other centers of intelligence. So, all right. So we just talked about that. Okay, so next up, I'd love to talk about Enneagram stances. And this is just kind of working on and talking through the different ways that you approach the world. So now that we've done centers of intelligence of the Enneagram, we're going to look at Enneagram stances. So as we go through these 3 different stances, I'd love for you to jot down which one resonates with you the most. So, what is a stance? In everyday language, a stance really describes the way that we stand or how we carry ourselves. It's much the same in the Enneagram. So in the Enneagram, a stance indicates a posture or an attitude that is habitual and pattern and a way of responding to experiences or life. So think about it like this, like how do you react or act when you walk into a room? Do you maybe go to the side? Do you go right up to the front? Do you maybe are you a front row person? Are you a back row person? So kind of think of it like, do you ever wonder why some people talk all the time and other people are really quiet? Maybe you notice some people are really assertive and aggressive and other people are very passive and withdrawn. Some people seem to be happy all the time and others are not. Some people are huggers and some people are not. Some people like people and others say that it's too people-y outside. Some people get energy from conflict and heated conversations and others run away. That would be me. I run away. So we're going to talk about the 3 different stances in the next several slides. And so I'd just like for you to note which stance sounds like you. Okay, we are going to start with the aggressive or forward stance. And this is types 3, 7, and 8. So just kind of listen. I'm going to kind of do a description here. These people get your attention. They have lots of energy. They tend to protect themselves with humor. They put up walls. They may be unaware of other people's feelings. They may dodge questions that are personal. They tend to see the big picture and frequently have a very full schedule. They are upbeat, optimistic. They make others feel safe. For them, really, life is about control. And that control started when they're little. They often feel others maybe move too slow and maybe have trouble connecting to the feelings around them. They're assertive. They have lots to do and they get it done. They respond to stress with problem solving. They can be quick-witted. They often feel like others move too slowly for them. They work to push their own agenda forward and they try to get others on board with their big ideas. And some of the defining characteristics of these type, they're action-oriented, they're direct, they're high energy, they're optimistic, persuasive. I always like to kind of give some famous aggressive stance folks would be Jack Black, Oprah Winfrey, Donald Trump, John Wayne. So kind of gives you a picture of what that is. And some of the challenges of this stance include they might be impulsive. They might struggle to connect their emotions with the emotions of others, wanting control. They can reframe negative situations with or outcomes without taking time to process. Feelings kind of are seen as counterproductive to these types. They're especially prone to burnout. So it's important to take time to check in with exactly what's going on with them to kind of help them put things into perspectives. Some of the things that might benefit assertive types include vision boarding and journaling, and this allows them to keep active while turning on their emotional center. So that is the aggressive or forward. I don't really like the term aggressive, more assertive. So this is types 3, 7, and 8. And then we have the dependent stance or toward stance. And these people look at situations and think like what needs to be done next. They place their reference point outside of themselves instead of on themselves. They feel like they must do well and do whatever everybody expects to do. They're characterized by relationships and people, and the dependent stances connect everything to everything and struggle with chaining. So this is connected to this and this and this and this. So they struggle with that. They may have some boundary issues and get their feelings hurt easily. They love and hold on to inherited ideas and traditions. They tend to ask a lot of questions. Their anxiety can look like activity, and they cover it with graciousness. They can get down on themselves and have really high standards. They may interrupt you, and they may interrupt themselves. They tend to be charming, and they work hard, and can be uncomfortable being alone, as well as uncomfortable with conflict. These types make sense of the world through relationships. They are emotionally attuned to what's happening in the present moment, and they respond to shortcomings or injustices by taking action. These typically tend to be team-oriented and are concerned with the larger group. They want to come up with solutions that benefit everyone around them. And some of the defining positive characteristics includes their relational, problem-solving, emotionally intuitive, compassionate towards people and causes, concerned for the greater good. And some examples of dependent stance might be Brene Brown, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, Woody Allen. And some of the challenges of the dependent types include they may struggle to think independently. They tend to be self-sacrificial, have trouble setting boundaries. So that is the dependent or toward stance. Those are types 1, 2, and 6. All right, now moving on to the withdrawing or the away stance. And these types, which is types 4, 5, and 9, they move away from others to get what they need or want. These types have this rich inner world, and they detach from others to find fulfillment within themselves. In time of stress, they will retreat into their minds and rely on their inner strength and that inner knowledge to guide them to the answers and comfort that they're looking for. They are independent but not aggressive. They use their own strength to get through life. They look inward for what they need. They may be pushed to get involved but don't really want to. They will be aware that there is a lot to do but don't see themselves to be kind of in the middle of it. They may not connect easily to others. And the withdrawing stance think that their inner world is that real world. They may feel isolated, but it really doesn't bother them too much. They tend to ponder and daydream and have trouble sticking up for themselves. They will possibly accommodate you, but maybe be resentful. They pull back and withdraw and not address conflict. They sometimes feel like they don't belong and they don't know where to sit in a room. But some of the defining positive characteristics is they're very self-aware, they're imaginative, they're observant, insightful, curious. Some of the famous withdrawing stances include Queen Elizabeth, Johnny Depp, Stephen Hawking, and Bill Gates. Some of the struggles of this stance is they struggle with connection outside of themselves. They feel like their presence is insignificant when it is not. They want to be seen, but maybe not want to engage, and they tend to ruminate on the past. So I'd love to get in the Q&A or in the chat, what do you feel like is your dominant Enneagram stance? Aggressive or forward, dependent or withdrawing? So I'm gonna open that up here.
That's hard for me, Janna, because I feel like sometimes I'm all of these.
Yeah, and that's okay. You know, with the Enneagram, it's so easy to be just like your number, but it's not.
Yeah.
You have a lot of characteristics of these. It's really just to kind of help you understand, where that dominant stance
The
is.
dominance comes from, yeah.
Yeah.
We did have a question about if you don't know your number, because I know there's a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
Where can we
Yeah.
take a test for free?
Yes, I actually on the next couple slides, I have a link that I can put in the chat, or tell you guys that there is there are a couple places to take a test. So we'll kind of talk about that here in just a minute. Okay, so we have Robin, dependent or toward. Anybody else? And again, this is just kind of help us kind of come to a conclusion or a hypothesis on what our type is. And it can be really easy for some people to figure out their type. And then it can be really challenging for others. And so you are the only one that can determine your type. You can take the tests, and the tests are a great way to start. But it's important to know that you need to kind of dive in and really do some work to make sure that that number fits you. And as we go through this series, we're going to talk, there's many layers to the Enneagram. So there's wings. You might have heard it's a wing is to the right and to the left of your number. There's also different subtypes. So I just don't want anybody to like paint themselves and put them in a corner that they're a particular number. I just want you to have an open mind as we're kind of going through this. So Heidi, dominant stance is withdrawing. Robin is toward. Anybody
Got
else?
several in the chat, Janna.
Oh, in the chat here. Okay. Withdrawing, then aggressive. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Withdrawing here. Aggressive forward. Yeah.
And I feel like it's situational too. That's what throws me
It
off.
can
Like
be. Yeah.
you talked about, where do I go in a room of people? Well, do I know those people? Is this a business thing? Do I need to be out there more? Is this like a family situation? So it's like so hard to like for me to remove that noise of
Mhm.
everything else that could play into that.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point to kind of think about, you know, very much, if you're in a work environment and you have to be up at the front, like you're going to react differently in different situations. If you're maybe at a place where you don't know anybody, you may tend to like sit towards the back. So it really does kind of just, dependent on the situation. All right. So, this next slide right here, this can kind of help point you in the right direction of your Enneagram type. So if you're a dependent stance and you feel like you're in the gut triad, you might look at the type 1. And again, this is not finite and black and white. This is a little gray. So that might be hard for some people, but just wanted to put this up here. To give you an idea of what your stance and what your center of intelligence was, what number you might look at. Marty says, as I age, I see myself changing, and 100% agree. In fact, many of the books that I've read, you don't really change numbers on your Enneagram type, but you can kind of tend to wing towards one side, and they're saying around the second half of your life. So I think with maturity and wisdom, we can tend to react and act and think a little bit differently as we gain that wisdom. Okay, so as we're kind of finishing up, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the aspects that this tool can help improve or help you along the self-awareness journey. So self-awareness, of course, is that first step on the journey to self-discovery, and understanding yourself inwardly impacts the way that you understand others. So this allows, again, that compassion and that grace towards yourself as well as those around you. The Enneagram really helps foster self-love, because learning why you do the things that you do can give great perspective as well as knowledge. Mindfulness really helps us try to live in the present moment, not in the past or in the future. And self-awareness, self-love, self-compassion, and mindfulness really leads us to healthier relationships with ourselves as well as everybody around us, both in the work environment as well as in the relationships that are home. Peter has a question: nature versus nurture. Yes. So in some of the Enneagram books and everything, they talk a little bit about your childhood wound, of what caused you to have your personality. Maybe it was a way to protect yourself. When you think of like a type 8 with that power, they had to hide their vulnerability at some point, whether or not you weren't loved a certain way or loved perfectly when you were younger. So and trauma and nature and nurture definitely affects our personalities and how we see or view or act in the world. All right, so here there is a free test, and it is you can look for that at truity.com, and I think it does a really pretty good job. Again, you are the only one that can decide your Enneagram type, and this is just a starting point. Truity will also tell you to look at some other ones, other types if that doesn't resonate with you. Also, the WEPS is WEPS.com is there is a fee for that. It's $15, and it goes deep into a lot of information. So those are two assessments that can help point you towards your Enneagram type. And then when we meet next on Thursday, May 9th, we're going to dive into each type. We're going to look at the all of the authentic and the adaptive behaviors, as well as what's that desire. You're also going to hear narrative of what that type, and sometimes it's good to hear, that narrative of what's going on in that type's head. So, and then finally, again, how to apply that Enneagram to your life. And then I just wanted to put this up here, and then we have some time for some questions. But if you're interested in getting on my newsletter, you can take your phone and scan that QR code. I do send out some emails, maybe about once a month, so I won't spam you. And then if you're interested, you can follow me along at Enneagram Nurse. It has my email there as well. And some of the items that I offer. So today was really just kind of an overview of what the Enneagram is and how it can be used in your life. We talked about the centers of intelligence. We have that head, that heart, that gut, and then different ways that we show up our posture in the world. So I would love it if you would come back and join us for the next session. And these are recorded. Bree, it looks like there is a question from Paige. Will these next sessions be at the same time? Do we have to register for each of them?
Yes, that's a great question. Thank you, Paige. So however you registered on our website, you signed up for this one, you'll do those with those other two sessions. I think if you just search Enneagram, and then we do record these. And so I will put this on our YouTube channel. So for some reason, if you sign up and you can't make it, the email that you registered with, that will get the link for that YouTube channel or for that YouTube video. Also, we just put these all on the YouTube channel we have anyway. So even if you don't get a chance to register, just come back there in the next couple of weeks and you will be able to find more of our content. So go check that out. But yeah, Janna, thank you. It's just so much information, and I think it's so interesting.
It's a lot.
And I encourage you guys to take those tests and come back, maybe if you're not super familiar with this, to kind of have a better perspective next time. And I had to take it multiple times, Janna.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started taking them, I would get the same number. And then I think as I thought more deeply about those questions, I ended up kind of becoming another one. Is that normal?
It can be. It's taken the work of really looking at that motivation. Is it motivated to be loved? Is it motivated for peace? Is it motivated for joy? Really looking at what you're motivated by internally, not necessarily externally or how you act on the outside. It's really what motivates you, what that desire is. And we'll go into way more detail on that next session.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you guys. Tell your friends.
Yeah, thank you.
Meet us next time for the next Enneagram session. So, Janna, have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.